Hello and welcome to the OverREACting Podcast, Episode 1.
Oh no.
I'm super excited about what we're going to be able to do with this. You may know us as HugKnuckles and HottSamn. My name is Josh Brooks. This is my beautiful wife, Samantha Brooks. And we're going to try something new. This is something we've been talking about for quite some time that we wanted to do. A podcast, we wanted something, we could get up on iTunes, on SoundCloud, or you can be watching it on YouTube. We will be posting this to HugKnucklesTV, our main YouTube channel. So depending on where you know us from, or if you don't know us at all, either way, welcome. This is our first episode, and I really don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Or where we're going to go with this, or what's going to happen. I know we're going to be doing this weekly. We'll be posting it up on YouTube Thursday nights to our HugKnucklesTV channel. Most likely, once we get the audio version of this rolled out, which hopefully you may be listening to as well, that should be possibly Friday mornings. But we'll get more information on that as well. Check us out on Twitter at OverREACting Podcast, or at HugKnuckles, or at HottSamn. Today, for our first episode, I thought we'd do something interesting. We're going to kind of talk about general things that are going on in the news. That's going to be like our regular. And eventually we'll have a few guests, but I figured for our first two episodes, maybe we'll do something fun.
Yes.
Maybe you do know us from the channels, but if you don't, this will give you a good opportunity to get to know us. For our first episode, I'm going to treat Sam, HottSamn, as our first guest.
Yay.
Which is kind of weird, interviewing my own wife. But then in episode 2, we'll flip the script and she'll actually interview me.
Yay.
So we'll see how this goes. We'll get into that more as we go along here. So the way that I look at this is just a way to kind of talk about our views on what is going on. Right. It doesn't necessarily have to be political. It doesn't necessarily have to be, celebrity gossip.
Right.
But it can just be, what we saw on the internet that we thought was cool. What's on Facebook. What we have a couple reaction channels. We do reactions to anything from anime, Filipino, music, performances and stuff like that. Love teams. We have we run the gamut.
Yeah.
Okay, on pretty much everything that we do videos about. So maybe we'll talk about what's hot that week.
Right.
What we're really
what's
into.
trending and stuff on YouTube. And
Exactly. And like maybe if there is like a big scandal, like the Logan Paul stuff that was going down, we won't talk about that in this podcast. But if there is a big event or something like that, we can cover that.
Right.
And I'm really excited. I'm hoping by week 3 we'll have our first guest.
Yes.
So this week, HottSamn. Next week, it'll be me in the hot seat.
It's like we're guesting, but
Kinda.
we're always going to be here, so.
Exactly. But I feel like this is an interesting way, especially to start it off. It's low stakes.
Right.
And also, if you don't know us very well or you want to know more, this is your chance to know more.
Yeah.
Also, I like the idea of the person who's the guest being in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Because it's like, HottSamn.
HottSamn, hot seat.
You know what I mean? The hot seat. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. But most of this is going to be dictated by you, the listener or viewer, depending on how you're taking in this podcast. Week to week, we'll kind of figure out where we're going with this. So the first thing I want to talk about this week, how are you doing?
I'm great.
We're gonna have to bust Sam out of our show a little bit.
I know, I'm a little shy, so it's like, ugh.
You would think, we sit here in front of a camera, hours and hours a week. Normally, we're getting back in our schedule.
Right.
But it's still weird sometimes when we do something new.
Hey, when we do something new, it's really hard because it's like, we're used to the intro and then we're used to like, the people we react to or the things we react to, we're used to like kind of doing that kind of thing, but whenever it's like we're having to talk about things and that are like in our life and stuff, it's hard for me.
Well, the other thing too is we're kind of flying free here. We don't have a tether. Let me scoot.
Right.
You can scoot over.
And with this being our like the first one, it's like we for sure don't know. Like,
exactly. I'm gonna move this. There we go. Like I said, we're kind of flying free. We don't know exactly what we're gonna do. When we do our normal videos, it's like, hey, this is what we gotta do. Then it's over.
And then it's over. Right.
So if we are a little awkward in this first one, I'm kind of excited for that. And I know that sounds weird, but I'm really into a lot of different podcasts. Like me and Sam were talking about it before we started recording this. We used to watch Baited, we would listen to with Keemstar and them. I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast. There's quite a few different ones, like the Alton Brown cast I used to be real big into. I even like Night Vale. I used to listen to some of that. Sam's not a big podcaster.
No, I'm not. I mean, so like I like feasting. First we feast.
Oh, first we feast.
And
I like
know,
feasting.
Well, sorry. And I know that's not a podcast, but like I kind of look at that as kind of like, yeah, it's like an interview type thing, and they just eat wings, you know, and that's fun.
We do not have wings here today.
Unfortunately.
So apologize for the lack of wings ahead of time. But I get that. I do, because it is going to be that kind of vibe. Other than, I feel like the First Week Feast is a little more of a drill down because they have the 10 wings, 10 questions, 20 minutes. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like...
Instead of just like a conversation that's like,
exactly.
There's like this, like we have a time limit, but like we kind of are like more relaxed.
We really don't. I'm shooting for an hour, but I don't know. I mean, some podcasts are like 3 hours long. I mean, I don't really want to shoot for 3 hours.
I'm like, oh, okay.
But I'm saying, like, I don't really have a time limit that I've set. I said I at least want to make it an hour for our first episode until we kind of feel out where we're at. Because I feel like a good podcast is at least an hour.
Right.
Anything less than that, it's like, why bother?
Yeah, no, for sure. And then it also kind of reminds me of when we used to do our Thursday live streams.
Exactly.
And we would just sit there and talk about whatever. And the only difference with this is we would have people commenting and we would read the chat and kind of just like go off of that and answer questions and stuff. So it is a lot like that. And those lasted about an hour.
Stream these before they go into audio. We may eventually start live streaming these.
Right. No, I think that would be a great idea. But the first couple we figure it out. Yeah, until we get it figured out.
Well, once we get settled in what we're going to.
Yeah.
All right, but the first thing that I want to get into in the news was something that I think I talked to you about a little bit. But first off, I want to give our well wishes, our get well soons to Kevin Smith. He is a great director, just an artist in general, a comedian, actor. You may know him as Silent Bob from Jay and Silent Bob. He also, has worked with Marvel. He's been in numerous movies. He's a huge fan of Clerks. And he recently had a major heart attack and potentially could have died. They said that once they had him in the hospital and did surgery, he had 100% blockage in the Widowmaker artery, and it could have been the end for him.
Right.
So
that's crazy. And didn't he have to cancel his second show? And if he hadn't done that, then it would have been a bad call. Yeah. That's
after his first show, I guess what happened was he was saying he was like sweating buckets, like he was just not feeling right and everything, and they called an ambulance for him, canceled the second show, and he took off. So that's just the first part of what I want to talk about. You know, I'm definitely a huge fan, so I want to send him well wishes. But there was a little bit of controversy.
Really?
Which is weird in this type of situation. So, first episode, I can't say, well, if you're a longtime fan, but if you do watch us, I love Chris Pratt. Right. I'm a huge fan of Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Beyond Guardians of the Galaxy, I was a big Parks and Rec fan, and that's where I first got introduced to him. But he's amazing in everything he does. The Jurassic World stuff that he's doing is actually really good as well. But Chris Pratt is just the dude. Like, there's two people we're going to talk about today that, to me, exemplify what a celebrity should be, or what I would aspire to be if I ever had any kind of, celebrity status in the world, and Chris Pratt is one of them. Like, he just always seems like a stand-up guy. Everybody has great things to say about him. You never hear anybody who has a negative thing to say about him.
Right.
He believes in patriotism, and he is a prayerful person. He's a very religious person. He tweeted out to Kevin Smith, and actually there's a series of 2 tweets. I didn't know that there was 2, but I haven't pulled them up here. And Chris Pratt says, "Kevin, we don't know each other too good, but I've loved you since Clerks, and I'm praying my ass off for you because I believe in the healing power of prayer. Can you please pray with me, people?" So the way that I read that was, "Can you please pray with me, people?"
Yeah.
But basically, he was calling out for his fans to pray, and then he had an additional tweet saying, "Praying for you, I will continue to. He inspired me with Clerks when I was a senior in high school. I'm tagging his football coach who showed me the movie because he believed in me and knew I'd be inspired." And he tags his high school football coach.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, I'm like, oh man, that's Chris Pratt's a good dude. That's such a nice thing. Like, that's so cool, reaching out and offering up prayers. Now, the huge political thing right now is whenever there's any kind of tragedy or whatever, people say thoughts and prayers, but they do nothing. You know, it's like, oh, our thoughts and prayers are with you. People kind of took that mentality and just went in on Chris Pratt.
Really?
Went in. Like, they were so mad about him offering up prayers.
Why?
Like, it doesn't make sense. Well, it's because of that mentality of it doesn't do anything. It's not offering up anything.
Yeah, but I mean, that's your own personal belief. You know what I'm saying? Like, why
it's not even a belief thing. Like, even if you don't believe,
like, respect
like,
other people's...
he's essentially sending out, you know, like, wishes.
Right. It's like, it's a positive thing. It's not like he's being rude. It's like it's a nice thing, like, that he's saying that. So
exactly.
Even if you don't agree with it, it's like, you know, it's just, it's really good that he's, you know, he said that. I don't know, it's weird.
Well, and the other thing too is Kevin Smith actually came to his defense. So did James Gunn, I believe is who it was. So James Gunn, the director of the Guardian series, comes to Chris Pratt's defense, essentially saying, even if you don't believe in prayer or whatever, and he had a whole list, I'm not even going to go through it, he had like 6 or 7 tweets where he kind of goes in on people explaining what I did, where the thoughts and prayers thing is more of a tragedy thing. Like, if you're going to say that was a horrible thing that happened, do something about it, you know, donate money or do something to help the cause. There's nothing you can do, you know, and he had a funny point where he said, unless you think you're going to go in there and, like, have Chris Pratt do surgery on him.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say, is, like, what else could he do in that situation? Like, yeah, you might think, like, prayer doesn't do anything, but what else can he do? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And it's more of, like, a well-wishes thing, like I said. But, again, shows how much of a stand-up guy Chris Pratt is. Love him. Love everything that he's been in. He is yet to disappoint me in any role he has been in.
And it also just makes me even more sad for people on social media, because there's always something wrong in everything. You know what I mean? There's
wrong,
everybody, you know, some person can always find something bad in everything, and that's makes me sad for the world.
So our next story from the news, I told you I want to talk about 2 people that are very inspiring to me. The first was Chris Pratt. This one is Donald Glover, or you may know him as Childish Gambino.
Yes.
Emmy Award-winning director for his role in Atlanta, Grammy-winning artist as Childish Gambino. He actually was a writer on 30 Rock, as well as performed as Troy on Community. I love all those projects. Atlanta I haven't seen. Atlanta I haven't watched. But Community, I was a big fan of. 30 Rock,
30 Rock I love, and also he makes like an appearance on 30 Rock a couple of times.
Yeah, while he was a writer on the set.
Which I think is kind of cool whenever writers come in and kind of show their face a little bit.
Well, especially once they become famous later, and then you're like, oh man, like I remember seeing that dude back then. But he was recently on Stephen Colbert's late night show, and the whole interview is really cool if you go check it out on YouTube. But what I thought was really cool about it, there was a little girl who's a Girl Scout who had done a remake of Redbone, which is one of his like hit songs, off his new album, and she had made a rap, like, what do you say? It's like an homage. It's not a parody.
Yeah, it's
but kind of like a remake.
Yeah, she's like using the background music kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, and she went with the flow of the music to create like a Girl Scout cookie rap. Like essentially, she sampled it. You know what I mean? Like that's what she did.
Exactly.
But it was really cool. It was really sweet. And what Stephen Colbert did was he kind of set it up by asking Donald some questions about, you know, if he had seen the video, what it meant to him, things like that. And Donald was really cool about it, kind of joking that he would like to buy Girl Scout cookies from her. Well, there was a perfect opportunity for him to bring her out on stage with her dad. And they kind of set him up right there with the Girl Scout form. And Colbert kind of is joking around with them, saying, like, so what are you going to do with that form? Like, how many cookies are you going to buy?
Yeah.
And it looked like she had needed 113 more cookie orders to fulfill, like, her goal. And he's like, I'll take all of them.
Right.
So he bought 113 boxes of cookies from this girl that made a song, you know, like remade his song to sell cookies. And I thought that was like the sweetest, like cutest thing.
Yeah, because now she like made her goal or whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, and also she got to meet him.
Yeah, and that's, oh man. I'd forgive anything.
The coolest part about it to me, though, personally, is after the fact, Colbert pops out like this box of cookies for them to give out to the audience, and the little girl's like going around to give them, and Donald Glover like pulls the box out of Colbert's hand to go walk around with them. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, what kind of like celebrity? And he's like, I'm talking Emmy award winning, Grammy award winning, like dude, everything he touches turns to gold. Like, just this guy who could be a huge jerk. Like, when you hear about big stars, could be a huge jerk. And he takes the basket from Colbert so he can go hand out the cookies with the girl and her dad. Like, that just
shows so much about him, you know. Like, he wanted to be a part of that with her, and
that meant something to me. Like, I just thought, like, that's why I am such a fan of his. Like, what he does regardless is really good. Like, he is a very good performer. I enjoyed his really old school, like, he used to do like nerdcore style rap as Childish Gambino. I was a big fan of that. He had a song with MC Chris. And, you know, I've just been a fan of him for so long. And when you get so attached to these certain people, to know that they're, like, such good people just makes you feel good. It's like an extension of yourself.
Right. And I feel like, you know, like, there's a lot of celebrities who, like, they make big donations and stuff. And I think that's great, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like it's those smaller things, like going out in that audience with that basket of Thin Mints and handing them out with that little girl. Yeah. It's, like, those smaller moments that I think make you more of, like, you know, it makes you stand out more to me than if you were to donate thousands of dollars to a cause, you know. Yeah.
You're actually, like, taking action.
Yeah, you're not just, like, using your money and, like, you know, doing stuff with it, which is great. I'm not, you know, discounting that. Exactly. Donate, like, I mean, gosh, you know, no, I'm not doing that at all. But it's just, it stands out more to me seeing those small acts like he did. And Chris Pratt's tweet, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's those
when you go out of the way,
right?
I think is what it is.
Exactly.
When you go out of the way from what is the norm.
Yeah, it makes me like think like, okay, this is just a normal guy. He's got manners, you know, and it makes you kind of think differently about who they are as a person instead of just they're a celebrity. They probably think they're better than or something, you know. But it kind of makes me like take that away, you know, and think like, oh man, whenever they're with their family, I'm sure they're just one of the family, you know. And
well, like Chris Pratt, I remember, what was it? I think there was like a video of him teaching his young son how to do like the Pledge of Allegiance or something. He was outside like with the flag, and it was like a really adorable thing. And it's like,
I need to see that. That sounds cute.
I just like wholesome moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we're looking at performers in any industry, it's just cool when you see those cool moments. And it doesn't matter what you believe or how you feel about certain things. It's just like, it's a dad and a kid having a moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's about. That's what was cool about it. Is like, you know, the dad taking time to like spend time with his son and teach him something, or you know, it's just, that's what it's about to me. I mean, personally, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
one more thing I want to talk about before we get into some hot questions.
Yes.
Is we were just, as we were about to go live here and record, we are super nerdy. Well, I am. I've unlocked the nerdiness inside of Sam, and we'll get into that a little bit more as we get into her questions. But we've been very excited for Infinity War. It's a new Avengers movie that's going to be coming out, and they announced that it would be coming out May 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, and also with you.
Yes.
But when we were looking through this on Twitter, there was a cute little exchange between the Marvel Studios Twitter and Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. His Twitter. They announced that it would come out on May 4th. May 4th.
Yes.
And Robert Downey Jr. basically tweets out saying, "Oh, can we get it earlier?" And, you know, joking that, you know, Marvel Studios says, and bring your friends or whatever, and shows, like, all the Avengers and stuff. He's like, how about the world? And then the Marvel Studios Twitter is like, deal. Like, that's fantastic. Deal.
Right.
And it says April 27th will be the new release date for the Avengers Infinity War movie.
That's awesome.
I think that is so cool. I feel like I sound like Cookie Monster. I think.
I'm so excited.
But I'm very excited for that. We're so far behind in movies, and what we're trying to do this March, today, March 1st,
yes,
is get through pretty much all the movies that we are behind.
Right.
That is my goal, is to catch up on all
quite a few of them we still
Marvel
haven't seen.
And DC movies. Yes. So, and then that'll be up on our Patreon as well when we do our reactions to that.
Yes.
But I'm excited. I'm so happy. The Avengers movies are the best because it's like a culmination of all your favorite heroes together.
Exactly, and I love that there's going to be the people from Guardians of the Galaxy in this one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, baby Groot. He's going to be even older. He's going to be like teenage Groot. Oh my gosh.
Babe,
what?
Okay, we need to talk about this. That is actually something else that was in the news. Okay.
What?
Who was it? Let me see if I can find this story real quick. So, when we were talking about Baby Groot is what reminds me, there we go. James Gunn, while he was tweeting, somebody said, they were talking about the difference between the Porgs, I guess, from the new Star Wars movie versus Groot, and it said who would die or something. Someone tweeted at him, and he said, I forget what his response was, but the fan basically said you could kill off Groot because you could grow Groot back. You know, like that it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And James Gunn says first Groot is dead. Baby Groot is his son. So that is officially canon. At the end of the first movie, where Groot sacrifices his life, it was the end.
No.
It's Baby Groot is his son. It's the seed of Groot. And like a lot of people were talking about after the fact,
because that's why they grew him. They were growing him in the pot. That makes total sense.
A lot of people were explaining how the new Groot has all this different attitude and like is a different.
It's a different
because it's his son. Mind blowing,
you know what?
Isn't
because
it?
he does have a completely different attitude. Like, and I thought
but
that
I never
was like,
thought about it that it wasn't him. I've always just assumed.
Right. I just assumed that they regrew him, which technically, like, it is like him. But if you take the seed of a tree and you grow another tree, it's not the same tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is. I never thought about that.
Isn't that sad though?
That is really sad. And
it makes me sad and happy. Like
I always just chalked it up as being like, okay, well, he must have this new attitude because in the first volume he was like he became really popular. Like everybody fell in love with Groot and the idea of Groot, and so maybe like he's like got this new little attitude because he's like all that kind of thing, and that's kind of what I was thinking like they did that for. But that makes that makes me even more sad though that Daddy Groot's like.
It makes me really sad. It makes me more sad about the first movie. But it makes me happy to know that
his legacy lives on. Yeah. Well, I wonder if he has more kids. Could they have gotten a lot of seeds? Are there a bunch of little Groots running around?
Just that one, I know. But I saw that and I was like, I need to tell Samantha about that. And I totally forgot until this moment. I'm so glad that I remembered it. I don't even remember what we bunny trailed off of to get here. But
I don't know. Them being an Infinity War.
Oh, yeah. So that was really cool, though. James Gunn just holding it up on Twitter, man.
Holy moly.
Just making it work.
I'm mind blown right now. Like, I'm actually really excited that that's his son. Like, I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Also, I do want to speak out. So, for the Chris Pratt thing, where with him giving praise to Kevin Smith, James Gunn spoke out in his defense. Kevin Smith also tweeted out and said that he felt bad because Chris Pratt was one of his favorite actors.
Oh, wow.
And that people were so mean to him. Essentially, he said, Star-Lord prayed for me. Isn't that sweet? Or something like, how sweet Star-Lord prayed for me. And I thought that was the coolest thing. It was like a cute little whatever.
Yeah.
Because Chris Pratt had kind of said, like, you've inspired me and I looked up to you and whatever. And for him to kind of give that back was really cool. And even Kevin Smith said, it's basically well wishes. It's like good intentions, I think is what he said. So it's cool that he did come back and
that makes me so mad. Like, I mean, I know like we're like getting back to it, but it just makes me so mad that people are like having a problem with him saying that. It's just so stupid to me.
There's so many weird things going on. There's fringe groups that believe in almost anything nowadays. And I mean, we're not going to get too political on the show, but it just seems like there is a lot of people that have a problem with a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's like what makes them happy.
Everything.
The people that have a problem with that, what'll make you happy? Like, if you think that there's a problem with Chris Pratt's tweet, let us know and explain to me what makes you happy.
Yeah, hit us up at OverREACting Podcast on Twitter.
I'm really curious.
And maybe we'll deep dive into it on the next episode if people have some ideas about it. I don't know. So up next, let's get into the hot seat. I'm excited for this. So
it's like hot seat, and then the what is it? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
So this is essentially our first guest, which is it's the reason that I really enjoy this is the fact you get to know Sam a little bit more, and then on next week's episode, hopefully you get to know me a little bit more.
Don't know if you want
but
to
it
get
also
to know me more.
it also gives us kind of a chance to hone our interviewing skills, because it's not really like we do that all the time. We don't really sit here and have another person that we ask questions to or need to know things about. We normally just kind of talk about or analyze things that we're looking at, and we're really excited to get some guests on the show. That's another thing we want to hear. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments down below. If you're listening, on whatever device that you do, hit us up on our Twitter and let us know some of the people that you think may be guests on the show.
Yeah.
In the community that we're in now, we do a lot of reaction videos. We could reach out to other reactors, other YouTubers. That's kind of our space now. But who knows? Sky's the limit. We're not, I'm not opposed to
there's even
anybody.
footprints on the moon, so the sky might not even be the limit. I'm just kidding.
Cheesy.
The moon looks like cheese. I mean,
I guess.
All right, I'm done. All right.
So for our first interview, I guess.
I'm really bad at interviews. I'm really bad at interviews.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, actually.
I'm kind of excited.
Well, I'm nervous because I don't know what you're gonna ask, and I'm not really quick at responding. So
I'm not really quick.
I'm kind of slow at responses. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's give this a whirl.
So why don't you kind of tell everybody, your sort of where you're from, where you grew up, stuff like that.
All right. So I am from a small town of 300 people, and we're in
700 people.
700
we have
people.
700 people. Okay.
He knows the population more than me, but it's called Eddy, Texas. And that is where I, have lived my entire life. I went to school in Gatesville, Texas, which is a little bit bigger, but not by much. It's a very small town, central Texas, very close-knit communities.
More inmates than people.
Yeah, more inmates than people.
It's a prison town.
In high school, I was a member of the band, and I played the flute, and I still love to play the flute. But that was pretty much my life, that along with powerlifting. And I was really good at both of those. I was a state soloist in band, and I was a state champion powerlifter. So, don't mess with me. I'll beat you up.
So, as a state champion powerlifter, what did it take to become a state champion powerlifter? What was your heaviest lift? What was your are there certain events, when I think of the Olympics, there's certain sports people do, or there's certain lifts that are a specialty or something?
Right. So we had squat, deadlift, and bench, and the best one that I did was deadlift. My best lift was 375 pounds.
Wow.
And bench was my least, the one that I was least good at, and I think my max there was 250 pounds. And then squat, I think I got 375 on squat. But
and that's what you got when you won the championship.
Right, yeah. And I actually have a video that I would like to share to the YouTube channel, HugKnucklesTV, of me actually that moment that I won, that we won the state championship, where I did my squat, and then you can see me just crying. It was one of the most memorable moments of my entire life. So
now when you win as a team, or do you get, are there individual credentials?
Right, so you can win individually in your weight class. So there's different weight classes, and in my weight class, I think I placed third in my actual weight class in the state, but as a team there was 10 of us, and your placement goes towards a larger,
towards the team.
Yeah, towards a team count, and we won as a team first place. So our actual team won first place. And yeah, I mean, and my cousin Casey, she was a part of that team with me too. She was a senior and I was a freshman that year, so
Now,
it's kind of cool.
as a like a lot of you know, if you've been watching us before through our YouTube channels, we've been going on a weight loss journey.
Yes.
I always hate saying that, but that's the popular term.
Yeah.
Is that a major goal of yours? Is to get back into lifting? Like, I know you don't seem to want to get back into powerlifting, but do you want to get back into heavy weightlifting?
I would love to get back into heavy weightlifting just because like I loved how it made me feel, and like I just feel like I was born to be like a strong person. Like that's why in junior high, before I even got into the age where you can start powerlifting, the coach came and she handpicked me and she was like, "You've got muscle, you know, you just have it naturally." And so like by the time I got into, you know, that freshman year of high school, I was already ready, you know. It's like, and you say like, what does it take to be a powerlifter? It didn't like, yes, I had to wake up at 5:45 every morning and be at the gym at 6 and lift and that was like every day, but like I had to work for it, but I feel like it was kind of easier for me than others, you know. And I mean, I don't know exactly how to word that, you know. It was just like,
so like a natural,
it came naturally, yeah. And so I feel now, you know, I'm really big on, I want to run a marathon. Like that is like my end goal. I want to run the Chicago Marathon.
Drastically different.
Drastically
from what you've
different,
done.
yeah.
From the weightlifting.
But I used to run for like an hour straight in high school, you know, and I used to love that. I used to love running. But it's two different kinds of muscles, running and heavy weightlifting. You know, it's like there's, you know, it's two different like categories, burst? And yeah,
it's more you're built for.
And then running like
sprint.
Running, the way it breaks down your legs is differently than whenever you're heavy weightlifting. It's not bulking; it's more toning it. And so, I want to run the marathon, but I don't know how that's gonna work if I want to lift heavy. Like I would like to do both.
Let's get back to when you were talking about you were in band. Now, being a state champion powerlifter, at the same time as that, when you were getting like, I know you won an award, the JP Sousa Award.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
John Philip Sousa. Yeah.
As you know, being a flautist or flutist, however you say it. Was that at the same time, or what year did you win your state championship?
So state championship was freshman year. Okay. I won the John Philip Sousa Award my senior year. Okay. I did powerlifting and qualified for state my freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
Did you not do it your senior year? Or?
My senior year I didn't, and the reason is, fun fact why I didn't continue, is because I struggled with my weight so bad in high school that it was just kind of like I didn't want to lift in a heavier weight class because I knew I wouldn't have done as well, and that I would have rather not done it. And this is just who I am. Like I'm really competitive. I would have rather not done it and stopped doing what I loved to do than to have come in 5th place or whatever, you know. So it was just, and I struggled really hard with that. But
what was the difference for you in preparation for the weightlifting versus, say, like a band meet?
So I mean,
like levels of intensity, meaning like when you had to go perform.
So, like marching performances, they're pretty extensive. Like as far as like we had to run for marching band, you know, and so like I can kind of compare the two there because, you know, like you have to hold your flute up for like 8 minutes, you know, for a performance, and you know it's kind of hard. And so like as far as like preparing for a powerlifting meet, like, you know, of course you work out every day, you gradually like you know lift the heavier weights, you do like, you know, whatever my coach would have us do, and then we would gradually go up in weight. But as far as like practicing for band, you know, we would run, and then we'd have to memorize a lot of our sets on like where to be on the field and whatnot, and then of course memorizing the music. So just consistency went into both of them. Like every day it was like a daily thing, you know. Every day I had to work out, every day I had to play my flute, I had to memorize, I had to test myself, you know, just like we had to max out and see, you know, test ourselves how far we could go with lifting how much weight. That way our coach would know where to start us, and then of course I'd have to like test myself, and I was a section leader in band, so I had to test all the flutes. And
well, that's what I'm kind of getting into. I'm saying like as far as intensity, Like, a lot of people would say that band isn't a sport, you know, like marching band and things like that. Of course, there's a difference between, but there is a lot of physical activity, and there's a lot of like draining physical and emotional stress that goes into that. So say you had, like when you go, what is the big performance where essentially you get graded that's like state for band?
Well, there's a couple of different ones, because there's marching, so like you can go from marching like all the way to state, or there's like just concert season, which you can go all the way to state as like an individual. Mm-hmm. And so those are totally different, because so like for state, like in concert season, all you have to do is sit in a room and play and learn your music, you know, and in some cases you have to memorize it if you want to do like a certain, like another level of it. If you want to be eligible for a certain division of rating, then you have to memorize it. You know what I'm saying? And I did do that. You know, I memorized it, and that was really intense.
What took more time?
Marching band.
Took more time than even the powerlifting?
And I will say, because there are a lot of people that think like, oh, marching band, you know, like that's easy or whatever, but that was harder than me playing volleyball, than me playing basketball, than me running track, throwing shot put and discus, playing softball, because it was a mental thing. It was, you had to memorize this. You had to memorize where to go on the field, as well as what you're playing on your instrument, and you had to stay in time, and you had to memorize like 3 different things at the same time, whereas being tired, you know, and it's very draining. Yeah.
So what would you say were the skills that were transferable from either of those sports to like everyday life? Like what do you, is there anything you think out of all that time and effort you put in that would benefit you now?
No.
You don't think like memorization or?
I mean, I feel like I struggled a lot after high school, because I feel like the things that I loved, they just ceased to matter. And that's something I really struggled with for a really long time.
Well,
was
you were
the fact
in college band and you still play,
but it wasn't the same. Like it wasn't like, you know, like I said, I'm really competitive. I gave up powerlifting, which really upset me. Like I feel like if I hadn't given that up, you know, my life would have been way different. And then, of course, you know, the band thing, if, you know, there was just something about being the best. I'm not trying to, like, seem, you know, braggy or anything, but, like, I was a section leader. I was a soloist. I was a marching. Yeah, you know, I was the best. And then going to college where I was in a band where I was on the second row instead of the first row, you know.
Where everybody is the best.
Where everyone is so good, and it's just harder to prove yourself, and
it's like the big fish, little pond.
It was really hard,
idea, you know.
And it was kind of like, I think once, you know, and that's another thing. Like I said, I came from a really small town, whereas like coming from that small town, I was always in the newspaper for something, you know, and then going out and branching out to college, it's like you start to realize, like, man, like I'm from this little small area when there's this huge, great world out there. And I just didn't even know what was all out there, you know? It's just like my mind had to grow, and it had to adapt to learning what I'm going to do with myself and with my life, because that was my life. And then it just didn't matter anymore.
Well, okay, so I think that's a great segue to get into, you know, our next part here, where you're talking about the small town. Now the city that we live in is a rather larger city. It's not, you know, we're like a suburb outside of Austin. We live kind of in between Austin and San Antonio here. What are the main differences between growing up in a small town and where we live now? Like, what was there anything that was like kind of like a culture shock? Or we'll even put it this way: the first time you left, you moved up to Chicago. We'll talk about our love story a little later. You moved up to the Chicago suburbs. Was that like a culture shock? Was there anything that was like?
I think because before I moved to Chicago, I moved to Temple, Texas, which is a little bit bigger. It's about the size of Waco, Texas. If you know, Waco's more popular if people know that.
Yeah.
But it kind of like, it was bigger, you know, there was like a major highway runs right through it, and like, you know, there was just there was more traffic, you know, and it's just like I would go to Walmart and I wouldn't know anybody in there. That was a big thing for small towns, is you go into Walmart and you'll see 20 people that you know.
And when you say small town going to Walmart, Walmart was 40 minutes away.
Right.
It's not like where you lived, you did not have a Walmart. Yeah.
Well, and also I would like to make this like clear, like I lived like an hour away from where I went to school. So
where she went to school, though, was a bigger city.
Right.
Not bigger. It's like 10,000 people.
And like literally between that, like there was just like, it's like a back road with like trees, you know, and that's where I grew up, you know.
Yeah. So when she says Walmart in a small town, the city that she lived in, grew up in, where I lived for 18 months when I moved to Texas, there's a Dollar General. There's no gas station for like 9 miles. Yeah. There's nothing at all. They built a couple restaurants now.
Yeah, they're building it up.
Yeah.
I'm really actually kind of proud of them. Yeah, it's kind of exciting, but there's a really good pizza place.
Yeah, but the closest Walmart's like 40 minutes away. The closest gas station's 9 miles away. Like it wasn't just run down the street. It was crazy. Because for me, and maybe we can get into this next episode, but it was like reverse of probably you with the culture shock.
Right.
But, so what was it like though, being able to just, like, it had to be weird knowing it from the opposite side of just being able to be like, hey, I'm going to run to McDonald's. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, was that like...
Oh, yeah. Like, being able to just, like, say, hey, I need an avocado for dinner. Let me run to Walmart and not have to make a 30-minute trek. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's very nice. It is really nice to be able to do that. And also, like, if I do want McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, you know. And then there's also, like, different services that are offered, like Uber. Like, little things people are like, oh, call an Uber. But it's like, well, where I'm from, Uber doesn't go there unless, like, you pay a good amount of money to get them there. Or even a taxi. Like, I had never seen a taxi. You know what I'm saying? Until, like, I actually, like, moved away to, like, a bigger place. Because they just they're not there.
What was, like, your favorite thing about moving to a bigger city? Like, was there one thing you're like, oh my god, like, finally?
So, I've always had, like, this like, need for adventure. And
wanderlust? Yeah,
like, I want to travel. I want to, you know, I like change. As much as I don't like change, I like change. It's really, I don't know how to explain it, but there was just something about, like, the like getting to start over, you know. I moved away like right after high school. Like, I graduated in May or June, early June, moved away in August, and like I liked being able to just like start over, recreate like a new identity. And then, you know, of course it hit me that, you know, it kind of happened a little too fast, I think, for me at that point in my life, and you know, the struggle that I was talking about with the struggle I had with after who I wanted to be and stuff. And but yeah, like Okay. What was your question?
I was like, what was like the main thing, like when you move to a big city and you're like, yes, like finally, like this, I'm closer to this,
finally,
or I have this, or
finally I get to go to Whataburger and it's like 5 miles away.
Whataburger is like a local, like, Texas regional restaurant that I found when I came down here.
It's great.
Everybody swears by it. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so how many times had you been outside of Texas before we got together?
So I had been to Alabama a couple of times to see family that I have there, and my family just drives kind of straight there, straight back. I hadn't been in years though, so that was whenever I was younger. It was the last time I went there. And then there was one time where my family went to Oklahoma, to Arkansas, and then back. We just kind of did like a little loop. And then I went to New Mexico to like sled, like snowboard or whatever, in the mountains with a friend in the 8th grade. So.
And you went to D.C.
Yes, I went to Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Duh. I went to DC with my band, and we stayed there for a week, and we got to tour all of DC, and we got to play, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. We got to play a concert there, and then I also went to Columbus, Ohio, where we had a national powerlifting meet, and I didn't actually lift there. It was my friend who lifted, but because it was like USAPL. Yeah, and I went with them because she did USAPL.
So what was that like? Your first times, like
my first plane ride,
especially like DC and Ohio. Those are more like DC still, I guess, kind of southernish, like on the border of kind of being that southern feel, but also
yeah. I think I went to DC first, and I remember my very first plane ride, and I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be in the air. Like, it was really scary for me, but that's actually, like, I fell in love with flying. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do. I love being up and, like, looking over the world, and I think that comes from, like, the feeling of, like, I've always felt like I'm in, like, this little, like, fishbowl, and, you know, and then it's like you're on top of the world where you can see, like, everything, and then you just like are like 1,000 miles away, just in like a couple of hours, and it kind of like expanded my mind a little bit, and it's like, wow, like there's more to the world than like where I'm from, and you know, it was weird.
Okay, so then I imagine the trip to the Philippines was crazy. We recently went to the Philippines about 6 months ago.
Yes, that was
20 hours
crazy.
in the air.
But you know, it's so weird to me because at that point, like, I had been talking to a lot of our fans and friends from the Philippines for so long. I had already, like, adjusted my mind to the fact that, you know, they're on the other side of the world. Oh, yeah. It's nighttime here, but it's morning there. So, like, I feel like whenever I got on that plane, I was just so excited that, like, it didn't hit me until we were home that we were literally on the other side of the world.
Well, that brings me to my next point here. So we've gone here from small town. You went to high school in a town with 10,000 people. You traveled a little bit. When we met, we'll get into our love story maybe in a later episode or something. We've been together over 4 years now. You came up to live in the Chicago suburbs with me. Okay, but still kind of a little naive. You know what I mean? Yeah. Of like what I say the real world is like.
Yeah, no, I was definitely still really like naive at that point in my life.
So what interests me the most though is when you started doing YouTube and started realizing people from around the world were like taking notice. Like what did that mean to you? Someone from a town of 700 people who had traveled sparsely but not a lot. You weren't like well traveled.
Right.
What did that, like, what effect did that have on you? Like,
it just like, it made me really emotional. I still get emotional thinking about it, you know, that I went from that girl in that small town that really struggled with who she wanted to be and stuff to actually seeing people from all over the world talking to me and watching my videos and saying that they love watching my videos. There's people from the other side of the world that say I'm their favorite YouTuber, and that's just, it's really awesome. Like I just can't put it into words. Like,
does it
how
feel
I
weird?
Feel. It feels weird. Yeah, because I struggle because, you know, we look at the camera and we talk to the camera and we make these videos, but it's like there's like thousands of people that watch that video, and it's kind of surreal to me. I'm like, there's more people that watch this video than live in my hometown.
Hundreds of thousands of people sometimes.
Like, literally, pretty much every one of our videos get more views than people live in my hometown. And
we have more subscribers right now than people that live in the city we live in now.
Yeah. And so seeing that, it's like, it doesn't feel real to me. It doesn't feel real. And I don't know how to even like explain how I feel about it. Like I know it's real, but it's just, it's hard to see it, you know?
I just feel like you're kind of like the cliche, like the little, like, you're not really like a country girl, because you are like a city person.
Yeah.
You don't.
Whereas my entire family love horseback riding and dirt roads. I hate that crap. I hate that crap,
But
yo.
like when I see you, you're more of like a city person, but it is that cliche of like this person who grew up in this small town and like,
Yeah.
you know, you for lack of a better term, you've made it big. You know, we're still growing and whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, somebody who grew up in a town of 700 people who has hundreds of thousands of people that watch you. I mean, I couldn't imagine like.
Yeah. It's like if you took everybody from my hometown and put them in one room, and then you took every one of our subscribers and put them in the freaking AT&T Stadium.
They wouldn't sit in AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, like it just like it's crazy to me. It gets me emotional thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like kind of like it's like me. Like people want to watch me. Like, you know, it just I just kind of feel like undeserving of it, you know? And it's kind of weird. I don't know.
I could get that.
I'm like, I'm a nobody. I'm from a small town. Why are you watching me, you know? It's kind of one of the things that I struggle with, but
so I don't know what else people want to know or whatever, but I feel like that's a good general like feel for who you are or who you were up until present point. But now what I want to do that you're not ready for is a lightning round. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I don't know, just see what happens, see what's fun here.
Okay.
So recently, up until recently, you did not like animated videos or anything at all, but recently we've started watching anime.
Yes.
What would you say are your top 3 animes?
Top 3 animes: Ruby, Attack on Titan, and Death Note.
Death Note?
Death Note.
Wow, over F-Map?
Yep. Right now.
I'm
currently.
really surprised by that. Okay. So out of those 3 shows, give me a top 3 characters.
Out of each show?
Just
out
combined? Of those shows, yeah. You can pick 3 characters from any of those 3 shows.
Gosh, that one's hard.
We asked the hard questions.
Blake from Ruby.
Okay. Is number 1?
Oh, I have to have 1, 2, 3.
I want them in a ranked order.
Oh, Malanta.
Because I feel like it makes it harder on you if you have to rank them.
I can't do that. I cannot do that.
Would you rank? I know Mikasa's got to be one of them.
Mikasa,
Does
Levi.
she rank above Blake or below Blake?
Oh gosh, I think above Blake.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like sure. Yeah. Levi, I think, is up there, and after we watch the No Regrets OVAs.
So Levi, Mikasa, and Blake.
Oh my gosh, you can't do that. I can't pick 3. I can't just pick 3.
What about Light?
Light, Misa.
Are they in your top 3?
I can't pick 3. I can't do it. All right, that's my top 5.
Right, I was gonna say we'll do a top 5 unordered list. How
okay. Light, Misa, Levi, Mikasa, Blake.
What is your favorite song on the radio right now?
What About Us by Pink.
Okay.
Yes.
Which
love
Pink
that
has
song.
kind of become one of your new favorite artists.
She is. I love her. Love what she like. She gave the speech at the VMAs last year, or was it this year? I don't know.
This year.
But it was amazing.
No,
I loved it, and she sang "What About Us," and it was beautiful.
What are your top 3 like artists right now that you're really like grooving to?
Pink.
Like if I were to go grab your iPhone right now,
okay,
what would be your
Post
top 3
Malone,
artists you've been listening to?
Post Malone, Pink, and see, artists is hard because it's more songs. Like I listen to songs. I would say Katy Perry. I listen to a lot of Katy Perry still. Yeah.
Katy Perry. What would you say are your top 3 favorite videos you've ever reacted to?
KZZia, Sasa Dag Dag on the Wish Awards. Okay. React to favorite video ever. Okay, so is this for which channel? Because
HugKnuckles TV.
Okay, for HugKnuckles TV. That one.
Because we kind of covered the anime already.
This one's hard.
We ask the hard questions here on the OverREACting Podcast.
Oh gosh. Can I group all the Jollibee commercials together?
Just pick one. Pick one that had the most impact, or
the most impactful one to me was Date.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jollibee Date. And I would say.
Now y'all gotta realize, for those of you who do not watch our YouTube channel. She is picking 3 videos out of almost 1,000 videos that we have done on that channel.
KZ Royals.
So 2 KZ?
Oh yeah, KZ is life.
Well, for me, I would have just done like a representative, like that one represents KZ, like overall. You know what I mean? Like.
Okay, so maybe not the Wish one. Because
really, Royals is more to you than the Wish Awards? I don't
know. See, I can't do this. There's different categories because like there's like a favorite ERB.
Okay.
We
can get into that.
Yeah. So like
I can ask you that next.
Oh, I don't even remember all of them to say a favorite one.
I like how you bring it up and then you're like, I don't know.
Superman versus Goku.
That's savage.
Yeah.
That is probably the most savage.
I think that one.
Most ERB.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that.
So, like, I think there's different categories. You know, there's a favorite ERB. There's a favorite. There's like a favorite Wish performance.
Okay.
Like Wish.
What's your favorite Wish performance?
KZ Royals.
Okay. What's your favorite ASAP performance?
ASAP performance. Umbrella by the
Soul Sessions.
Soul Sessions. Yes.
By the hand flap that you can't hear.
Yes.
On the audio recording of this. Okay, what is your favorite... I'm trying to think of what else, like different categories that things could go into. What is your favorite non-Jollibee commercial that we've done?
Oh, the Supermall's grandma, the mom, Mother's Day. Right?
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
If y'all haven't seen that, check that out.
That one was really, really sad. Yeah, I cried like a baby. I love 8 Days and 8 Minutes in the Philippines.
That was really
Loved
good.
that one. That one really had a really big impact on me.
Which video do you think you thought was going to be big or you wanted people to watch that nobody watched?
Oh my gosh, our 2017 Rewind. I worked so hard.
Look into the camera.
I worked so hard on that video. I literally put a week of effort into that video, collecting footage from the last year, collecting pictures, finding the perfect song, putting it in the perfect order, and it literally got like no views compared to most of our stuff.
I don't know where it's sitting at right now. I'd have to go look.
It didn't get very many views, and that kind of made me sad. It really did.
What is the video, and you may not have an answer for this because I don't think I would have an answer for this maybe. What is the video that got the most views that you did not expect?
Most views that I did not expect?
Yeah, they were like, wow, that actually, like a lot of people will check that out, and I didn't expect that.
That 8 Days and the 8 Minutes. Oh, wait, no, the top 12 Philippine, like, facts or whatever. Yeah. That one really shocked me. And, yeah, I think that one was, like, the biggest one for me because I'm like, oh, wow, that got a lot, you know. Those more, like, random facts, like, about the Philippines or the 8 Days, 8 Minutes were the ones that really was like, wow, that got a lot more than I thought they would.
If you could have any U.S.-based artists collaborate with any Filipino artists, and if y'all are wondering, we do a lot of reactions, do a lot of videos with Filipino talent, so that's why we're very familiar with the artists. What 2 would you pick?
Oh, man. Pink and KZ.
You think so?
I think they would go great
bond really
because
well,
they both have like a raspier voice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like they both have like that like strong voice, and I love that in both of them, and I feel like they would go really well together.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Bacon or sausage?
Bacon.
What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
Breakfast cereal is Honey Nut Cheerios.
White or regular milk or chocolate milk?
Oh, like by itself?
Yeah.
I don't like white milk, so chocolate milk.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla.
What's your favorite bedtime snack?
Bedtime snack?
Like
graham
a
cracker.
Snack.
A graham cracker.
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Like a favorite, like staple food. Like if you could only eat one thing for a week.
Chicken.
Chicken? In all forms?
Chicken and brown rice. Like literally, even whenever I'm like not being healthy, I'll choose that.
I'm trying to think of what else people would want to know about you.
When we were gone for 2 weeks in Illinois and we were eating out a lot because that was like the only option at that time, I was craving chicken and brown rice.
What's an embarrassing YouTube moment for you?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. You always make me embarrassed. So there was one time we were live and he played a video of me farting.
During the KZ concert. Do you remember that?
That was like
It was an
footage.
outtake. It was an outtake.
It was an outtake, and he's like, everybody's got to see this. And
Everybody
he pulls
listen.
it up.
Everybody listen.
Everybody listen, and then it's fart. So there's that one.
I bet I still have that somewhere. I gotta look.
And then there was one time where I meant to do the peace sign, and I accidentally flipped off the camera. And I was like, we've got to cut this out. And he's like, nope, just keep rolling with it. And so that went live.
That was awesome.
And then there was, of course, the face that everybody loves, you know.
There's this like meme face that I've created from a screen cap.
It's a picture of me with no makeup on. My face is like splotchy red. My hair is like...
It's become a meme.
It's like poorly cut out PNG. My hair looks really weird.
It was a big thing for like our OG, like our old school YouTube fans, like our friends that would come in the live stream. It was a thing. It was all about it.
And the last thing that made me embarrassed was Hot Daddy.
Oh my God. This is the best story.
We had like names for like our parents. So there was like Dad Knuckles, Mom Knuckles, and then I said there's like that's his parents, and then there's
because I'm HugKnuckles is my YouTube name.
Yeah, and so I'm HottSamn, so I said Hot Mama and Hot Daddy. And it was just like
Hot Daddy just didn't sound right.
It didn't sound right,
which is
understandable. And then as soon as I said it, I like went,
and I just
kidding.
I capitalized on that.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Hot Daddy.
Because that's what he's got to do. If something is said that's going to, like, that's embarrassing by me, he's got to just run it and embarrass me.
That's what's fun. That's what I love about having a channel as a couple and doing all this stuff together, especially this podcast. It's a lot of fun. We get to just have some fun together, mess around.
Yeah.
What do you regret giving up on for YouTube? Like through your YouTube, you've done a lot of different things on YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that you have in mind that you've wanted to do and haven't gone through with that have never even made it to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What one idea or what one skill, or I don't know how to say it, like what one thing that you've wanted to make YouTube content on do you regret not doing it?
That's a really hard question because I can think of 3 right off.
Well, which one is the one that if you could have a channel that was doing any one type of content?
Makeup.
Now,
special effects and regular would be the channel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If y'all don't know, Sam used to do special effects makeup on her channel SF Excellence.
Which is kind of a cool name.
Before she was
like, even thinking back at it, I'm like,
long.
SF Excellence, it sounds cool.
It was just too long, because, like, I came up with that name, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool at the time, but I was like, it's way too long. It wasn't something that was, like, representative of you. Like, it wasn't a bad channel name, I don't think. But, like, for you to reference yourself. Like, right. I think you could have a channel. Stella just
jumped on me and scratched me. Ow.
And she, I think it would have worked that way. But I just think with it being a personal name, it didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I definitely, like, I've struggled with naming a lot of different things. Like, I'm not good with coming up with names for
What
channels.
Was your favorite, since you said that that's what you wish that you could go back to doing, what was your favorite effect you ever did?
My favorite effect that I ever did would be the fork through the lip. I feel like it looked the most realistic out of everything that I've done.
If you could do special effects for any movie you've seen, what movie do you wish it would have been? Movie or TV show?
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Oh,
Is that like the holy grail for makeup artists?
Oh my gosh, yes. I would freaking love to work for Walking Dead, doing like zombie faces and stuff.
Okay.
Actually, I loved my zombie face with my prosthetic that I made. I really loved that. Oh, and my gelatin heart.
Y'all need to go check out the HottSamn channel and go see some of the stuff she's still got up over there.
Yeah.
It's criminal how few views it all has.
Yeah.
So I guess at the end here, Normally when we have a guest or something, I assume we'd give them a chance to just kind of like First We Feast with like, hey, 30 seconds, like,
right,
plug whatever. And I don't know what you would plug other than our own stuff.
Go follow me on Instagram if you want to follow like our weight loss journey, because I'm gonna start posting like a lot of my meals over there and stuff that we're doing at the gym, as well as like, you know, super cute selfies. And then of course my channel, like you said, I have a couple videos over there, but
youtube.com/HottSamn, HottSamn.
N, there's an N because it's basically like hot damn. And there's an N in damn. So
yes, there is.
That is why.
So what do you want to say to the people? This is your chance. This was your moment to kind of talk about you, explain some of the things, just answer some random questions. What if you could say in 20 words or less, as One Punch has taught us, what would you say to the fans? Is there anything you want to say? Is there anything you want to say about yourself? Is there anything you want to get out to the people?
Thank you for loving me and showing me that there is more to life than my small town. Thank you for opening my eyes and making my heart grow big. Literally big.
That's hopefully your heart is not literally
No.
growing big. Also, that was more than 20 words, so you lose.
Whatever.
You will not be the guest next week.
Darn.
You were the weakest link. You are eliminated.
This
did go
wrong show.
This did go
Darn.
a little over an hour, but that's fine. That's good. Like I said, we don't have a set amount of time that this is going to be. It'll be as long as it is. As long as it's over an hour. That's my only goal. As long as this is over an hour, then I will feel it is enough to release to you. Put it out into the world. If you do have questions for next week's show for Sam to ask me, tweet them to her at HottSamn, HottSamn.
I said SOM.
Or to the OverREACting Podcast Twitter at OVRR Podcast. And I don't know. We'll have more stuff. Our social media is pretty dead right now because this is the first episode. It's not even been released yet when we're recording this, so we don't really have anything on it. But next week, Sam will be asking me some questions, and we'll talk about what else is in the news and whatever's going on. Also, I'd like to know if you guys have any guests in mind that you'd want to talk to. I have a few other YouTube channel people that I'd like to talk to, and things like that.
As well as like friends and moderators and such.
How do you feel like the first show went?
I feel like it went really good. I feel like I kind of loosened up as we went along.
Word.
Yeah.
I feel like we should drink. I feel like if I have like a drink at the beginning of this, like it'd be much easier.
I get really hot whenever I drink, so I think I'd be like.
I just noticed that the audio version won't catch me winking at the camera when she says she gets hot.
Oh my!
But I did.
Oh my!
But thank y'all for watching. Hopefully y'all can help contribute to the podcast by giving us some information on what you thought about it, what we can change, what you want to see in the future, and it'll evolve. It'll, it'll become what it is eventually. We'll watch this back and be like, oh my God, how cringy was this crap?
That was our first podcast. That was terrible. Yeah.
But thank you if you have listened or watched or, whatever you do. And we'll have another one up next week. We'll see you later, overreactors.
Bye.
Bye.